Hi everyone, I'm Jared from Reap What You Sow. Today I am going to show you how I made crawfish flavored pickled quail eggs. It is the most simplest and the easiest recipe, and this is how I do my eggs, and I love them. We love them. A jar of pickled eggs doesn't last long at this house. But first what I want to show you, I got this pot. It's almost completely full of quail eggs. But so I took this pan here. I've got all these eggs washed. But I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can see down in here into this pot. Let me tilt the camera down just a minute. Okay. I don't know if you can see still. Can you see this one little egg right here that's floating on top? When the eggs float, they're no good. So I'm going to take this egg and throw it away. I have another floater right here, and I'm going to throw it away. But the other eggs are good. And so we're going to go with these. Those two eggs that was floaters, and I've thrown them away. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of these eggs and I am going to place them in this pot of water here. And then we're going to turn the heat up on these. And I'm going to bring this to a boil. And then I'm going to boil these eggs for 3 minutes. I've got a pot full of eggs, so it might take a little while before it comes to boil. But this is nothing fancy about it. The crawfish flavored eggs is awesome. The seasoning is perfect. To me, it's not too hot. It's just right. But everybody's different, so you can adjust the seasoning to your liking. Alright guys, that pot is literally full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'll bring you guys. I've got the eggs on the stove. I had to put a lid over them to try to raise that heat up because it's completely full. But I wanted to go ahead and go over a few things of what you'll need. You will need, if your jars, clean, sterilized jars is what you'll need. And you'll need some vinegar, just the white distilled vinegar is what I use. And for the crawfish flavored eggs, and it doesn't have to be quail eggs. You can do this for regular chicken eggs, you know, or duck eggs, whatever eggs you have. You can use this same recipe to make them crawfish flavored. I use a crawfish, shrimp, and crab bowl. I mean, if you're in Louisiana, you can get this just about anywhere. But if you're way up north and they don't have this, you can order this crawfish season off Amazon. But I'm pretty sure you should be able to get this about anywhere. So what I'm going to do is when those eggs come to boil, and I let them boil for 3 minutes, I'm going to turn that heat off. I'm going to pour all the water, the hot water out of those eggs. I'm going to drain them, and then I'm going to immediately put them in this pan right here that I have with ice in it. I have ice and water, and then I'm going to drop those eggs into this cold water. And then we'll go from there. Timer! Thank goodness for the phones on. Okay, so I'm going to cut these eggs off. And now I got these eggs cut off. I am going to pour the hot water off of those those eggs. And when I get those eggs drained, I'll bring you right back. Oh my goodness, that is some eggs, isn't it? Ooh. I guess I'm about to make a mess here. Well, that was 2 eggs on the floor. Alright guys, I had to go and get another bowl. I got this one full. And I've got ice water in this bowl to cool these eggs down. Alright, so the number one thing is what I use, excuse me. Okay, I like to take a spoon, and I take an egg, and what I do is when I store these eggs in the refrigerator, I always put them pointy side down because it makes like a little air pocket up here at the top of the eggs, and it kind of makes it easier to peel because these things are tiny. So what I do is I just take a regular spoon and I just tap it around this egg until I get this thing broke. And then I'll just take it and I'm going to pinch. Let me see if I can come close. I am just going to pinch and to peel this. It's kind of thick and it just starts peeling around until I get this egg all peeled. These can be very, very time consuming. Okay, so if you're peeling this egg and it tears like that, right there, you see how it tore right there? Okay, this egg, you do not want to use it. You can eat this for now, but you do not want to use it for to put in your jar with it open like that because you run the risk of botulism getting in that egg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and peel these eggs, and then I'm going to bring you back after I get these eggs good and peeled. But this is all you do. You just tap it around there, and it just takes a little time. And you just peel that egg. If I could show you how it makes that little pocket up at the top where you've had it stored pointy side down, and it makes it easier to peel to get open. Oops, that one almost tore open, but we got it. So when I get these eggs peeled, guys, I'll bring you back, and then we'll go on from there. I'm back. I got those eggs peeled, and let me tell you, those little things like to kill me. That's hard work, peeling all those eggs. And so this is how many eggs that I've got peeled, if you can see that. So now what I'm going to do is I've got my jars. They're already sterilized, heated up, and they're sitting there waiting on me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the brine that I'm going to pour on top of the eggs. So I don't know if you've ever boiled crawfish or not, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. I do not put my seasoning in my vinegar and stuff while it's cooking on the stove, because the crawfish seasoning is so strong and overpowering. I mean, you'll be sneezing and it just takes my breath. I just can't do it. So what I do is I get my stuff heated up. I just use the vinegar and the water, and it's 1 cup of vinegar. I mean, a half a cup of vinegar and a half a cup of water to each pint jar. So half and half. start with my crawfish seasoning. I put 1 tablespoon per jar of crawfish seasoning. You can adjust this to your taste. If you like it spicier, you would add more, or maybe drop in some cayenne or something like that. I'm not adding, I have added onions and peppers and stuff like that to it. But for this time, I'm not going to do that because all of my onions have been chopped up and frozen. And so, I don't have any fresh on hand. Now, like if my pepper plants and stuff was putting out and producing in the garden, then I would take those and chop them up and add them to my jars. You can do that, but for this video, I'm not doing that because I don't have them on hand. What I have is frozen, and I'm not going to pull that out and to use that in my jars. So I add 1 tablespoon per jar. So let's go ahead and get these jars out, and I'm going to have to empty them because they're full of water. Look, I'm trying to jump the gun. So what I'm going to do is get a pot, and I'm going to get my brine heating up, my vinegar and water. So I guess basically I'm going to estimate. I would like to know how many that I'm going to need to where I can mix it up. So I'm going to start with 2 cups of vinegar. And I'm going to add 2 cups of water. Because I have well water, I use that. If I was living in town and I had city water, I would use some water in a bottles. Okay, I'm adding 2 cups of water to this. It don't look like it's enough, so I'm going to add another cup of vinegar. So that's going to make me 3 cups of vinegar, and I'm going to add another cup of water. So that would be 3 cups of water. Okay, I got that in there. So I'm going to move this to this back burner, and I'm going to cut that on and let that start heating up and come to a boil. I like to bring mine to a boil. So now let's go ahead and take these jars out. So what I'll do is I'm going to pour this water out, and I'm going to sit them back on my rack. Because, you know, when you put these in here and you drop them down in that water, they fill up. And so I'm going to add my eggs. And if you notice, I've added a towel on my counter right here because I don't want my jars to be hot. And then I place them on that cold marble. And if I put them on that cold marble, then add that hot liquid to it, it's going to break the jars. And I just think I'm just making a mess. They filling up, turning over. Well, there the whole thing went. It just collapsed. And then I'll bring you back. Thanks for having patience with me. It's like when you start filming something, you know what you're going to do and what you're going to say, but you got to slow down and go through each process. And you can skip over stuff or get nervous. So I'm going to put my gloves on. So I've got these out. The jars are out. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of seasoning. And this is Louisiana crawfish shrimp and crab boil. And it smells good. I love the smell of crawfish. But it can be strong. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put 1. I'm not worried about it mixing up because once I get my eggs in there, I am going to put these back on the stove in the water, in my water canner, and I'm going to process these at a rolling boil for 15 minutes. And that kind of dissolves the seasoning and stuff with it being in that pot. Okay. Woo! That's strong, people. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load it up with eggs. So. And I want to be careful because I don't want them, cracked open or anything. And I don't know how many I'm putting in here. I'm just filling the jar up. I know that you can buy your quail eggs from the store, the pickled quail eggs. And it looks like I don't have that many in the jar. But I don't do that. I'm going to load mine up. So, but when you do it, the FDA doesn't recommend you canning eggs, because of the botulism and stuff, but I do mine. This is me. I'm not telling you to do it. You do this if you choose to. But if you make sure everything's good, it should be okay. And the shelf life is about 6 months. You can. Some people go a year, but I'm not going to go a year. I'm not going to push my luck. So, but I'm sure if it's canned, I've always heard my whole life. I had this little lady we went to church with. She was beautiful. She had told me that if you can, and once you got it in that jar, and as long as that seal's not broke, it's good. I don't know. I've never had anything last that long in the jar. It's like as soon as you get it canned and ready, you already want to eat it. But once you jar these eggs, these quail eggs, you need to let them sit, for at least, I'd say 10 days, to where they could pickle good, maybe longer. Ooh, I might have to get some more jars. I don't know. But once I get, the liquid gets hot, I'm going to pour that liquid in here. And then you want to be very, very careful and use your little stick here. You can measure, the top, like 1 inch from the top. But I always put the liquid to this ring right here on the jar, this bottom ring. And but once you get the eggs in there and the liquid poured, you want to make sure that you do not have any air bubbles in there. So you want to take this and you will stick it around the sides and be very, very careful and try not to break the eggs to release the air bubbles that could be trapped. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this filled up, these jars finished, and when my liquid gets hot, I'll bring you back and we'll pour that into these things and put the lids on and get them in the canner, ready to go. All full of the liquid, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to stick it down in there and release any of the bubbles, but be very, very careful not to tear an egg. Ooh, that vinegar's strong with that seasoning. Those some bubbles. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to put our lids on. But before I put my lid on, I'm going to take this paper towel right here and I'm going to wet it with some vinegar, and I am going to clean around this to make sure, you know, there's not no seasoning or the egg touched it. That way I can get a good, clean seal. And then once we get these lidded up, we're going to put them in the canner and for a water bath and a rolling boil. Once you reach that rolling boil, then you're going to set your timer for 15 minutes, and you're going to boil it for 15 minutes. And you want your lids to be warm too. Canning is a lot of work. I don't think people realize just how much work goes into canning. And doing these little quail eggs is definitely a lot of work. That's why I don't do them to sell. I don't sell my quail eggs. Because, I mean, it's just, you spend so much time doing these. Alright guys, I've got them lidded up. So let me see if I can put this one somewhere down in the middle there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to set, oh, I didn't even take the lid off. Oh yeah. So I've already got my water at a rolling boil, but I'm going to let it heat up. It's going to cool down when if these jars ain't the same. Alright. I got that in there, and I'm going to let it come to a rolling boil, and then I'm going to process it for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out, and I'll bring you back, and I'll show you the finished product. Because how do we know that it's sealed? Is we're going to be listening for the little ping, ping. When a canner hears that ping, that's like music to their ears, because they know that that jar has been sealed. You know, if the jar hadn't been sealed, then you can do the process again. But with this being eggs, I'm not going to do that. If a jar doesn't seal, I'm just going to let it cool, and then I'm going to put it in my refrigerator. Because you can do pickled eggs that way. You don't have to do them like this in the canner, you know. You can put them in your jars, but you would still go through the sterilization process and all of that. And then they would cool, then you would move them to the refrigerator. And but I chose to do mine like this because that's a lot of jars, take up a lot of room in the refrigerator. But I'll bring you back. It should be, yeah, there we go. It's time for me to take it out. So I'm going to cut my heat off. It's hot. When you start cooking and canning in your kitchen, boy, it don't take long for it to heat up, and I haven't moved over there to cut the air up yet. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and we'll see what it looks like. I'm going to wait a few minutes. I forgot I had the camera on. I'm going to wait a few minutes and let that cool out, and I'll bring you back. All right, everybody. We've got the quail eggs out of the water bath canner, and they are looking good, and we ended up with 8 pints of quail eggs and 1/2 of a pint of crawfish flavored quail eggs. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. So if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and you can follow us through the journey of the homestead and slowly, gradually moving toward a preservative-free life. And that's hard to do, y'all. I don't know if y'all realize it, but it is extremely hard to get away from all the preservatives. We're not 100% there, but we have knocked it a big chunk. But let me tell you, since I have cut back on my foods and stuff and trying to eat no preservatives, food that I cook and raise or buy organically, I've lost 8 pounds so far. So I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm not doing it to lose weight. I am strictly doing this for health reasons. So if you like the channel, thumbs up, new, subscribe. Thanks.